Today we're going to be taking a look at the Ryobi PSBDD01 18-volt HP compact brushless half-inch drill. So let's get started. Starting off at the bottom of the tool, we have the 18-volt battery slot, which will accept all of Ryobi's 18-volt batteries. Moving upward, we have the belt clip attachment point, and behind that on the rear of the tool we have a strap attachment point. Moving upward on the drill, we have the hand grip, as well as the variable speed trigger and the forward/reverse/locking switch. Moving upward and forward, we have the clutch, which has 24 different settings. Moving forward again, we have the half-inch keyless chuck, aka the place where the bits go. And of course, a third-party bit, which is not included with the drill, so forget you ever saw it. And on top of the drill itself, we have some air ventilation holes for the motor speed selection switch, and the clutch setting arrow. And that's pretty much a quick overview of the tool itself. Oh wait, there was something I didn't mention, but I didn't forget. I'm just going to go on a quick tirade now, so hang on to your seats. If you watched my review on the Ryobi P238 brushless impact driver, or on this piece of junk, you'll probably know where I'm about to go, which is this area of the tool. Now, I like having lights on pretty much any tool. That's a given. I'm not a big fan though when the light's not that good to begin with, and when that light replaces a super useful staple which has been a hallmark of Ryobi tools for a very long time. And that staple was the bit holder, as well as a magnet which you could use to hold screws or bits. But Ryobi, in their infinite wisdom, has decided to opt to remove this in favor of this crappy LED light, which is not really all that bright. I'm not sure why Ryobi has decided to stab their users in the back, but just saying, we're not a big fan of this change. And I know I'm not alone in this opinion. So if anybody from Ryobi ever watches this video, please understand that we really hate this decision, and you should reverse it as soon as possible. Oh, I hate this so much. Okay, let's talk about the LED light. The LED light provides a decent amount of light. It's not as good as Ryobi's older tri-illumination system or design that they used to go with, but it does in a pinch, and it's not horrible, and it's better than nothing. But as I said before, I would much prefer their older designs than this. Okay, and that is it for the overview of the tool. Now let's show you some videos of what the tool looks like in action. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the drill itself. The drill itself is a nice, light, compact, brushless drill. It does a good job, and it was able to handle just about everything that I threw at it, except for one thing, but we'll discuss that later. The build quality on this drill is fairly decent. I'm not going to say that it's in the same league as a Milwaukee or a Makita or a DeWalt, but it is a fairly decent drill for the price. And I really think it does a good job. The one thing on the build quality that I would have changed would have been the area where the clutch attaches to the drill body. That area on this drill is made out of plastic, and I think there's a little bit too much give to the front or back. And depending on if you're using a hole saw or a large drilling bit or a spade bit, sometimes there's a little bit too much wiggle or flexibility there for my personal comfort. On the next model in this series, or the more expensive model, that piece is made out of metal, but on this particular drill it's made out of plastic and it's a little too weak in my opinion. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad drill, and it's perfectly adequate for pretty much any other drilling or driving applications that you might have. It's just when you start using some of the bigger bits that you probably should be using a bigger drill with anyway, that it gives a little bit too much in my opinion. So what were the biggest drill bits that I used with this drill safely? Well, the biggest twist bit that I used was a 1/2" drill bit, and it worked just fine. I was able to drill 12 consecutive holes using the 1/2" bit, and it did a fairly decent job. It did it fairly quickly, and it did it completely and smoothly. So overall, I think it's a fairly powerful little compact drill, and it should be able to handle just about any size of regular twist bit that you put on it. And considering I was drilling into a 4x4 and not a 2x4, it has a fair amount of torque behind it, so it should be able to power through most drilling jobs that mere mortals usually need to do. Now let's talk spade bits. Now the biggest spade bit I own is a really cheap, horrible quality, Walmart brand, hyper tough, 1.5" spade bit. So you can probably tell from my description that it really is nothing to write home about. And this little drill did a fairly decent job with this crappy spade bit. I think if you were to be using a higher quality, say something like a Daredevil or something from Irwin, or just a better quality spade bit, it will do an even better job. But even with this crappy quality spade bit, it did a fairly decent job, and I was able to make it through the wood at a fairly decent rate. Now, by the time I made it through the wood, the drill was starting to heat up a little bit, but it still wasn't bad, and so I'd still say that it's a win for this drill. Now, the videos I'm playing are a little bit out of order. Now, the first hole that I drilled was actually this 1.5" hole, and then I did the twist bit holes, and then I'm going to do another 1.5" hole. And then we'll get to the point where the drill sort of failed. So it wasn't a permanent fail, it was a safety shutoff, but you'll see in a second about what I'm talking about. So a little context. These are really crappy hole saws that you can find in kits under different names, and they're just really crappy and they're horrible, horrible hole saws. Now, the wood I'm using here is from a pallet, so I have absolutely no idea what kind of wood it is. It's a fairly hard wood that cracks super easily whenever you try to send a regular screw into it, so I would have to say that it's probably not going to be a soft pine. So let's go ahead and watch what happens. As you can tell from the video, I'm really not making all that much progress. As a matter of fact, I'm making pretty much no progress whatsoever for the amount of time that I'm spending and the amount of force I am pressing down on this wood. So this wood and this hole saw put together create a very difficult scenario for the drill. Going into this, the drill is working just fine. I had just finished up doing the other holes with the twist bits and spade bits, and I did not really give this drill much of a rest period in between the two. It probably sat for about 5 minutes before I started in with the hole saw on this piece of wood. So, as you can probably understand, the drill was already fairly warm at this point. After a little while of drilling, I was beginning to detect the first whiffs of a burning smell. And that burning smell ended up being, well, partly the pallet wood because it was beginning to blacken from the friction and the heat, but some of that smell was also beginning to come from the drill. But I was to the point of no return, and so I decided to, well, just go ahead and try to make it all the way through the wood, and whatever happens, happens. And this proved to be probably not the right decision for anybody who likes their tools. And the drill began to experience different noises and began to slow a little bit, and the burning smell increased. And then suddenly the drill stopped. Was this because the battery was dead? No, it was not. The battery was still half full. So what was the issue? Well, it might have had something to do with the fact that the motor housing was making crackling sounds, and there was little bits of white smoke and a burning smell drifting away from the motor housing. So I immediately went over and set the drill in a safe area and put a fan on it to cool it down and to try to save the drill's life. Which I did, and the drill still works fine, and it's still working fantastically. But did I make it through the wood? Yes, I did actually. I did make it all the way through the wood, except for one little corner which still held the piece in place. But in the long run, doing this with this drill is probably not a very good idea, and quite honestly was stupid, and I should have done it. But it gives you a little bit of an idea of just what kind of punishment this drill can handle. And of course you can do all the things that you can do with a regular drill. Tighten bolts or split wood, aka put screws in without pre-drilling holes. So you get the idea. It's a decent little drill for the money. Okay, let's talk about the pros and cons of this little drill. And the first pro is small. This is definitely a smaller size drill. Is it as small as a dedicated 12 volt drill that's compact? No, but it can still get you into a lot of places that a normal 18 volt drill won't be able to fit. So definitely a pro in my opinion. 18 volts. Definitely another pro. I love 18 volt power tools, and to be honest, I really don't see the need usually to go anything smaller than 18 volts. So the fact that this is such a small 18 volt drill I think is definitely a pro. Brushless. Yes, it has all the usual benefits of having a brushless motor in it. Longer run time, more powerful motor, smaller size, you get the idea. But the biggest reason that being brushless is a pro is to get that sticker that says brushless. Powerful for its size. This is an excellent little drill, and it has a lot of power behind it. Is it going to be able to compete against a full-size brushless drill? No, but that's not really the point. The point is to decrease the user fatigue when having to use the drill for long periods of time, or for getting it into tighter spaces. So I think Ryobi did an excellent job of designing and building this compact drill. Built-in protection. Well, I think Ryobi did a good job with the built-in protection in this drill. It definitely seemed to have saved the life of my drill, turning it off before the motor could be permanently damaged. So, in my opinion, this is definitely a pro for this drill. And the first and only meh is color. Yes, the color of this drill makes it very easy to lose among radioactive substances. So, definitely a meh in my opinion. And the first con is flex in the chuck. As I showed in the video earlier, there's quite a bit of flex in the chuck and on the clutch of this drill. And there's more than I personally would like to see. Is it going to be a deal breaker? No. But if you're doing any kind of precise work, or if you're just needing to push down hard on the drill, there's just a little bit too much to feel comfortable. And the biggest con is no magnet and bit holder. These are features that have been a long staple of Ryobi drills and impact drivers, and I really do miss them. I really hope Ryobi revisits them in the future and decides to get rid of that stupid little weak light and bring back the things that we actually care about, or may just move the light upward onto the body where it was in the past. I think that was fine, but that's just my personal opinion. I know some people don't really care about them, and it really doesn't affect the overall performance of the drill. It's just a really nice feature to have, and I really do miss it. So I hope Ryobi fixes it in the future. And that is it for the pros and cons. Final thoughts on this drill. I have to say I actually really enjoyed using this drill, and it's a fairly lightweight drill, coming in at only 1,370 grams with a lightweight battery and a regular drill bit in it. It means that you can get this into a lot of places that you won't be able to get a full-size drill, and you'll be able to use it longer without getting fatigued. So I would definitely recommend this to anybody who's needing a compact drill. Now, will this replace a full-size drill? Well, not really. A full-size drill still has more uses, and a full-size drill usually has a hammer function, which is definitely a useful feature to have. But at the same time, if you do need a compact drill, I think this is an excellent choice, and one worth considering. Is it going to be the smallest drill on the market? No, the 12 volts have that area fairly well cornered at this point. But at the same time, having the 18 volts of power is definitely a nice thing to have. And me personally, I would rather go this route than that route. So I would still recommend this to anybody who's looking for a compact drill. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. God bless.